Board of Trustees of the Village of Lake Barrington. It is Tuesday, November 19, 2024. It is 7:08 p.m. I'll begin by asking the clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Burke?
Here.
Trustee Hayes?
Here.
Trustee Perkins? Trustee Schaller?
Here.
Trustee Schellmoser?
Here.
Trustee Van Ryn?
Here.
President Richardson?
Here, thank you. Would you all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Agenda item 4 is approval of the minutes from our meeting on October 7. Are there questions or comments or edits for the clerk on the minutes? There being none, Chair would like a motion to approve agenda item 4A, minutes of the Board of Trustees meeting October 7, 2024. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Schaller and Burke. Thank you both, gentlemen. And I will ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Hayes?
Yes.
Trustee Schaller?
Yes.
Trustee Schellmoser?
Yes.
Trustee Van Ryn?
Yes.
President Richardson?
Yes, ma'am. Agenda item 5 are our colleagues from the Park District.
Rebecca,
Come-
coming.
All right.
They're in there. They were supposed to start at 7:30. They chose to start at 7 because they wanted to come talk to you guys, but I don't know why they haven't
Okay.
come in yet.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
They're coming now.
Oh, thank you.
Is there anything else for me to do under President's remarks?
No.
Okay, great.
I mean, yeah, then, yeah,
Okay.
we're good.
In the interest of time, so that you gentlemen don't have to sit here all night, we'll go out of order, move to agenda item 13A, ordinances, Hunter Garage. Come on up, fellas. Chair, I'll yield to the administrator.
Thank you, President Richardson. This is for an after-the-fact special use ordinance for Hunter Garage, and they are located at 21966 North Pepper Road. They had appeared before the Plan Commission Zoning Board of Appeals at the October 24th meeting for an after-the-fact special use permit to operate a garage. The Plan Commission Zoning Board of Appeals did recommend approval for that. There was one condition, and Attorney Bateman can correct me if I'm wrong, that with their current lease being up, they would have to provide us with a new lease by December 31st.
At this point, the ordinance is drafted so that they had to provide a lease by today's meeting.
Okay.
And so this special use goes through December 31st. And then they'll have to submit, they'll have to resubmit for a special use in the event that they have a new lease in the future.
In other words, we want to make this easy, fellas. We're going to let them catch up. The catch-up action that we'll take tonight will get them through the end of their current lease. If they renew the lease and get a new lease, then that new lease will also have to have a permit.
That will also have to have a special use permit.
So when you get the new lease, bring that back and we'll give you a new special use permit, okay? bunch of us up here run businesses. We know sometimes you can get behind on things. Just follow the rules, we'll help you out with that, make sure it's done, and then we're all good to go.
That's why I'm here tonight.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm actively buying the building.
Oh, congratulations.
And last time I was here, it was a little up in the air whether that was going to happen or not, and I'm glad to say that it will happen. Closing's either next week, right before Thanksgiving, or first week of
terrific.
December.
Terrific.
So, yeah, it was a long trip getting there. It's been since May.
Well-
A lot of sleepless nights, but Taurus's lease with me was a sublease through
Okay.
December 31st.
Okay.
So now that the building's going to be transferred over to me, he will for sure be signing an extension
Great.
lease. So, yeah.
Easy peasy.
Right.
Okay, are there questions from the board? If not, Chair would like a motion to approve ordinance number 2024-0-18, an ordinance granting an after-the-fact special use permit for a vehicle repair business at 21966 North Pepper Road to be operated by Hunter Garage LLC on the property owned by Chicago Title and Trust Company, trust number 4602. May I have that motion, please?
So moved.
Trustee Hayes, thank you. May I please have a second?
Second.
By Trustee Van Ryn. Thank you both. I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Hayes?
Yes.
Trustee Schauer?
Yes.
Trustee Schalmoser?
Yes.
Trustee Van Ryn?
Yes.
President Richardson?
Yes, thanks, fellas.
Thank you.
And come see us about your business some other time. We'd love to learn more about it.
Absolutely. I do have one question. Rebecca, I think you sent an email asking about the fire inspection for them.
He's gone.
Okay, I was gonna say, when they did it earlier in the year, they did the whole building.
Yes,
Okay.
other than that, we'll just need the certificate of insurance, which we talked about, and that's the only thing else for the business.
Okay, good, yeah, we're getting Berkshire Hathaway insurance for the building, and I actually spoke with them today about insuring. Right, so we can kind of save money altogether. They said perfect.
And just looking at the ordinance as it's drafted versus the motion, if you get a new lease to the village before that December 31st date, then you don't need to file for a new special use, but you would need to file for a new special use if it's not to the village before the end of this expiration of this special use.
Can we do that at a meeting, or could I just bring?
You can just bring it to the village administrator.
Excellent, thank you.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And for our friends from the Park District, thank you for coming in. I've let the other gentleman, because otherwise he's got to wait here to the end of the night. And I'm not that mean-spirited. Come on up for a moment, please. Yeah, and I'll yield to the administrator for agenda item 13C.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is also an after-the-fact special use ordinance for 28039 West Commercial Avenue, Unit 9, for nationwide tows. The Plan Commission met on October 24th, and they had recommended approval of the after-the-fact special use permit for nationwide tows for their towing business.
Great. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, doing? Hassan Muslah.
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Thank you. Fact pattern similar to what we just did?
Yes, the only difference is they are not repairing vehicles on site, it's a towing business.
Okay. Any questions from the board on this? Then I can be efficient. Chair would like a motion to approve ordinance number 2024-0-20, an ordinance granting an after-the-fact special use permit to allow the establishment, maintenance, and operation of a vehicle towing business at 28039 West Commercial Avenue, Unit 9, Lake Barrington, Illinois. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
By Trustee Hayes, thank you. May I please have a second?
Second.
Trustee Van Ryn, thank you as well. Clerk will please call the roll.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Hayes?
Yes.
Trustee Schauer?
Yes.
Trustee Schalmoser?
Yes.
Trustee Van Ryn?
Yes.
President Richardson?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Guys, enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you. We like to do that for folks who are otherwise at the end of the agenda. You can't know the joy. I've been sitting up here since 1999, and we struggled like hell to get people to serve on the Park District Board. So to see a full complement of dedicated volunteers, thank you. Our prayers have been answered. We appreciate the fact that, I'm guessing none of you do this for the money. So we're delighted. We don't either. So we're delighted. We'd love to hear about your plans, and we're obviously thrilled to collaborate in any way possible, because we've had a brand statement for 20 years that we're an oasis of gracious countryside living, and your work really helps drive that value proposition for us. because part of it is just the access to recreational green space. So welcome, and I don't know who would like to speak, or if you'd all like to come up and introduce yourselves, we'd love to meet you. And how many of you live in Lake Barrington? Oh, wonderful! Don't embarrass me and tell me that you've met me 15 times. Come on up, please, and the microphone.
What I'd like to do is just,
Please.
it's 5 out of the 7. I'm just going to have them come up, introduce themselves, and how long they've been on the board. All right?
I'll go first. I'm Kira Pano. I've actually been on the board since 2017.
And where do you live?
I live right off Chesapeake,
Okay.
Barrington.
Yep, great.
So, yep.
Hi, I'm Michael Oberholzer. I've been on the board for about a year and a half. I've been in front of this board before as president of Twin Pond Farms in the past, so
Good to see you again, Mike.
thank you very much. That sidewalk's working great.
I'm Linda Lowry. I've been on the board, and I'm the treasurer for the last 3 years, and I live in Pheasant Ridge off of Kelsey.
Sorry. I'm Jennifer Parisi. I've been on the board since 2017.
Terrific. Where's your home in the community?
Wood Drive.
Okay.
Right. And I'm Teresa Tevish. I've been on the board just over a little year and a half. Mike and I came on at the same time. I live in Lake Barrington Shores. One of the things that we wanted to present to you tonight, when we came out of that meeting a little early, one of the things, I guess I kind of started with the group when I came on. I'm a retired park and rec professional, and I met you guys a couple of months ago. But one of the things that the state has taxed us with, and I'm going to read this because I don't know how to articulate this very well. We are going to be presenting to you the efficiency report for the Lake Barrington Countryside Park District. This is something that we started last September. It included all of our board members as well as 2 residents that were part of the committee meetings that we held. We held 4 committee meetings. And what this does is, the Illinois General Assembly passed the Decennial Committees on Local Government Efficiencies Act, requiring all units of local government that may levy any tax, with the exception of counties and municipalities, to establish committees by June of 2023. So we started a little late. And at least once every 10 years thereafter, we will have this meetings to study local efficiencies and report recommendations to the county in which the government unit is located. So our document will go to Lake County. I'll be sending it off tomorrow, and I'd like to present you with a copy.
Thank you.
In here, we do present and hope to, as you said, look at partnering. Partnering is power. And so we have some things listed, I think it's almost the last page, what that means to look at each other's purchasing power and what we can do by purchasing together in numbers. So that is listed in here. It's also part of sustainability, some initiatives we may have coming up.
Do you know Margaret Resnick in LBS?
Yes.
She just joined our Plan Commission, and she's a Parks and Rec executive
Yes.
by experience as well.
Yes, yeah,
Well, you
absolutely.
can't have these kinds of natural resources without appreciating what this is about, so thank you.
And then just another big thing that we'll celebrate in 2025, which is also on our agenda for tonight, we'll be celebrating our 50th anniversary.
Oh,
So a lot to look
wonderful.
forward to in 2025.
Wonderful, thank you.
All right, thank
And by the way, I love the holiday lights. Oh, fabulous, fabulous. I have to outsource that. I'll yield to the trustees for questions. Trustee Schallmoser.
No questions. Thank you for all your hard work and dedication. We love it. Thank you.
Trustee Van Ryn.
No questions also, but appreciate everything you do. Thank you.
Trustee Burke.
No questions, but thanks for being here tonight. Thanks for your work.
Trustee Scheller.
Ditto, no questions, but I know for an awful long time that I've been on this board, the Park District was kind of we didn't know anything, or didn't have any representation. So finally to have local people involved and taking advantage of what we have and making it even better, much appreciated. So thank you very much.
Trustee Hayes.
I have a story to tell, short one. I was out getting petitions because our petitions are up. And I was at the art fair, and I was asking residents at LBS, would you be nice enough to sign petitions for us that are running? And one of the ladies looked at me and she goes, I just want to tell you that splash park at the Village has is absolutely fantastic, and I want you to tell all the Board of Trustees how appreciative I am. And I had to look at her and go, you need to thank the Lake Barrington Countryside Park District Board because all of you, she was so laudatory how great it was. She brought her grandkids, she absolutely loved it. So I wanted to share that because it just shows the appreciation, at least this one person had, and she really was appreciative. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
And that reminded me of a comment at the barn stomp. So we had a little station, I had a table set up, and so that I could kind of meet the public that was there and have them write comments and try to initiate some conversation. And somebody asked me a question about the village that I could not answer. It was about, she thought it was the Park District thing, but she said, can you make sure you have the sled hill again? And I said I would pass that on.
Yeah,
So I don't know anything about
Yeah,
that.
I
I'm passing
nagged
that
the
on.
administrator and her predecessors about making sure it's bush hogged every year about this time so that it can be used for toboggan.
Okay.
Partnering.
I'm high maintenance.
It's in our contract with the landscapers.
Well, isn't anything else, we're going to finish up our meeting as well.
Please consider this house your home. When you want to meet and you need facilities, we are more than happy to have you, and the coffee's always on and the welcome mat's always out.
Thank you so much, thank you. Yep.
Trustee Perkins isn't here tonight, and that's who's kind of going to dive a little bit deeper with the collaborations and stuff, so we can set up a meeting another time, and I can speak with Sharon and her about that. So just want to let you know.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks again.
Thanks.
You're doing great. We are now on the consent agenda.
Agenda item 6 this evening, and I'm actually pretty good. See, I check them off as we go on, so I don't miss one. When I do, I count on you or your dad. Agenda item 6 this evening is the first opportunity in the agenda for the public to address the board on non-agenda items. I see no one seeking recognition.
However, I got one little comment. Last year, we started a Thanksgiving program to benefit the Cuba Township Food Pantry. The village was very much involved in that. Barrington Countryside Fire Protection District was very much involved in that, and we are going to hold the second annual Thanksgiving program beginning this Saturday. It will run through Saturday, December 21st. We'll put up collection baskets around various businesses and here in the village, and I was at the Barrington Countryside Fire Protection District meeting last night. They were going to cooperate again and having tried to fill up the Hummer with food that we collect. And then Kelsey Roadhouse will be hosting, as they did last year, the December 21st kind of grand finale when we put it all together. And then after that, we went over and gave all of it collected to the Cuba Township Food Pantry. So look for Thanksgiving again this year, and it's really part of the village of Lake Barrington, so thank you.
Terrific, thank you. Agenda item 7 is the consent agenda. We've handled, those were the other ones, okay. Thank you. Then we're going to look at agenda items 7A and B. I'll yield to the administrator.
Thank you, President Richardson. We had discussed both of these items during the Committee of the Whole meeting. The first item is consideration of amending the service agreement with Lake County Health Department and Community Health Center. This is regarding the call for rabid animals or wild animals. The second item is consideration of a professional services agreement between the Village of Lake Barrington and Safe Built Illinois LLC. This is for admin help in the building department for a temporary time frame.
Questions for the administrator not discussed in Committee of the Whole? There being none, Chair would like a motion to approve in block agenda items 7A and B as noted. May I have a motion to consider in block?
So moved.
By Trustee Hayes, thank you. May I please have a second? By Trustee Scheller, thank you both. Clerk will please call the roll.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Hayes?
Yes.
Trustee Scheller?
Yes.
Trustee Schalmoser?
Yes.
Trustee Van Ryn?
Yes.
President Richardson?
Yes, thank you. Agenda item 8 is the treasurer's report.
Good evening. So tonight, we're reviewing their financial statements for the 5 months ended September 30th, 2024. So we're cranking along in our fiscal year, almost halfway through. Real quick, I want to just mention the DECO grant that started last June of 2023, when Karen was still here. We started applying for that. We were notified and applied. We just got the money. So we got that $38,000. I don't know if you want to talk about the other three, Karen, or Sharon, or I just bring those up real quick, or? Yeah, there's three other ones that were just, Marty McLaughlin's office sent Sharon an email. We've been awarded 3 more. So $100K for infrastructure improvement, $27,000 for infrastructure improvement, and $25,000 for a pond aerator, all of which have already been done, so it's a matter of doing the paperwork. So we've got the $100,000 one almost done, and we're cranking away on those, so it's just money that's coming our way, so it's kind of exciting. Okay, so back
I just want to add, thank you for updating the board on that. These were efforts that we began with State Senator Dan McConkey and State Rep. Marty McLaughlin some time ago, and I think County Board Member Mike Danforth. My memory's a little foggy there.
One of them's from 2019.
And these go back.
Yeah.
These go back, and because it's always difficult to tie this, this is where Fidelity Consulting was so helpful. And they were the ones who really drove this with the state legislators who put it in for us. So I want to give a shout out to Fidelity on this simply because it was their work that accomplished it. I do this for a living, as you guys know, and I'm tired of living 5 years ahead of my clients because they typically don't see the work I do until 3 or 4 or 5 years in the future. This is a great example of that. So
absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, so back to the financial statements. You'll see on the flash report on page 2, we have assets of $3,413,000. Our liabilities at $398,000, and our equity is $3,015,000. Revenue for the 5 months is $2,059,000. Our expenses are at $1,932,000. That gives us a net income of $127,000. At this point last year, we were reflecting a loss of $624,000. September is always a good month. We now have received pretty much all real estate tax for the year. So September always seems a little flush. We get that nice influx of cash. But to make a good comparison between the 2 years, we will take out sort of those, what I'll call those extraordinary items, which is mostly the road work. When we pull those out, we'll have sort of regular net income of $815,000. Compared to last year, it's $460,000. So those differences, we did talk about those last month. It's pretty much sort of the same thing. Some of our revenue items are up. Our property tax is up to $90,000, but that's a timing difference. That's going to go away. Our levy's the same. It's just we collected a little bit sooner this year than last year, so we're collecting a little bit earlier. And some of our expenses are down from last year. Engineering's way down, almost $100K. Our road work is also much lower, so they're tied together. And just some legal is down. We had a lot of, last year, a lot of, legal issues that we had to cover. So, and our space, our interior and exterior building maintenance is down about $70K as well. So those kind of make up the differences. Nothing that we weren't planning for. We are a little bit surprised at the growth of the building permit revenue. It's nice, but we're having sort of an offsetting growth in the expense side of it as well. So it's not as much as it looks like, but it's still more than last year.
Are those road cost increases driven by materials cost?
We just did more roads.
Okay.
Yeah, we did a lot more roads.
So it's not materials cost, we just did more? Okay.
No, exactly.
Thank you.
Right. So we'll flip forward to the budget, because that's what's more important, to see if we're kind of on plan. And you'll see page 12, where our revenues are at 59% actual to budget. And, we're only 42% through the year, but as I mentioned before, our real estate taxes are all collected, so that drives that number up a little bit. And then on page 13, our expenditures are right at 50%. And, our road work's been completed. Some of our expenditures that happen early in the year do drive that up. So, but nothing is really concerning at this point or really out of line from what we're expecting. Nothing to be concerned about at this point. We probably should end up pretty close to budget. We'll be a little bit down. Sales tax we've talked about. Looks like income tax will come in a little bit higher than expected. Not a lot, but, it's going in the right direction for us. Then we'll go to the motor fuel tax fund. That's on my page 14. Nothing to mention there, except we do have about $527,000 in current assets. Once again, we're building that fund up to use those funds next year for road work. So we should have another, we get about $20K a month for that fund, so we'll have enough to do road work next year in that fund. And then page 20 is the water sewer fund, and our net current assets in there, about $1,674,000. Nothing to highlight there. We're still in the process of doing the rate study, and more to come on that in the future. So unless there's questions on the financial statements, I'll go right to the warrants. Okay, on warrant A, there is an invoice request for Bartlett Tree Experts for $3,150. This is to fertilize 15 trees here at the village. The contract was passed back at the October meeting. This was not specifically budgeted, but there is a little bit of extra in this budget category that should cover that. Cuba Township had 3 different amounts for doing some culvert work at 3 different locations, $4,039.04, $2,350, and then the last one, $3,467.64. There's also requests for Cuba Township for work on the Pepper Park path. There was some tripping hazards on the path, and that repair work came to $2,938.96. A couple more things, MGT Impact Solutions for $4,350, and that was for half of the work done on the compensation study, which I believe you were made aware of tonight, the study. And then that was not budgeted in our budget last year, but it was approved at the August 6th meeting. One last thing to mention, municipal one for $3,800, and that's to redesign the village's website, and that amount was budgeted. And then lastly, the water sewer fund, Carita America, for $4,325. That was for tank inspection. That was budgeted and approved at the June 12th meeting. So any questions, anything else on the warrants before I move on? There is a warrant C, and that was $900 some dollars. And that was for the clerks attending the clerk conference. That's why it's pulled out on warrant C. Okay, so that's all I have there, and I'll let you vote, and then I'll go to the tax levy.
Okay, terrific. Are there questions on the financial statements or on the warrants for the treasurer? If not, then Chair would like a motion to approve in block agenda items 8A through D. A, approve the financial statements as of September 30, 2024. B, pay bills in the amount of $323,992.12 as listed on the accounts payable warrant A dated November 19, 2024. C, pay bills in the amount of $6,772.60 as listed on the accounts payable warrant B dated November 19, 2024. And D, pay bills in the amount of $989.21 as listed on the accounts payable warrant C dated November 19, 2024. May I have a motion by Trustee Burke? May I please have a second?
Second.
Thank you, both gentlemen. Clerk will please call the roll.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Hayes?
Yes.
Trustee Schauer?
Yes.
Trustee Schalmoser?
Yes.
Trustee Van Ryn?
Yes.
President Richardson?
Yes, thank you. Agenda item 8E is the tax levy.
Thank you. I did write a memo, so hopefully you've had a chance to read that. I tried to outline how the general fund balance has gotten so high. We're about $1 million over what I would call our minimum as defined by fiscal policy. It just talks about the years over, kind of what's happened over the years. But it's kind of interesting if you look at the ARPA money we got 2 years ago was $662,000, and the rebuild Illinois funds we received were $327,000, and that's about $1 million. So that, if you want to, pick out 2 things that's given us this sort of excess fund balance, it would be those 2 items. We've spent that money, but we've built up other funds instead of that. So that's just kind of a quick thing if you're interested. How did our fund balance get so high? Because we look at fund balance when we decide if we should raise the levy or not. So when we raise the levy, we have up the REWIP to 5% increase without sort of doing a whole lot of work with the public. The staff at this point is recommending not to raise the levy. It would stay at $823,000. I have a little history of the levy for those that are interested, because I know sometimes once in a while that comes up, because we've had years of flat levy and we've had years of increases. So 12 years ago, the levy was $465,000. And then for 5 years, it was flat at $488,000. And then if we all recall, right before COVID, we had a big meeting and we raised the levy $300,000, and we raised the home rule sales tax. So the levy now is $788,000. And then we raised it the next year, just under 5%. And we held that flat now for 5 years at $823,000. So for 12 years now, this levy's gone up and down. And when I look at the $465,000 12 years ago, and I take a 5% increase every year, we're about where we are right now, which is really quite interesting, because we could have just done that over all these years and had the same levy. Anyways, I do think it makes sense to keep the levy flat. We have $1 million extra in the fund balance.
The conversation that the folks from Lock Haven started tonight and that you all hear tomorrow, I'm glad we have that wiggle room because...
Yeah, that'd be about 10% of our...
The readiness is going to be expensive.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So, but happy to entertain any...
Other questions for the treasurer?
This is just a resolution, the ordinance will come next month.
That's right.
So if there's any more conversation or thought...
Just a clarifying question. When you said $1 million over what we would say is generally our threshold, you're saying that's above and beyond our, whatever was our 9 months of operating, is it 9 months or?
7.
7. So the $1 million is in excess of that?
Correct.
And at this point, that $1 million, none of that is earmarked for anything?
Not technically.
Technically?
We're
So.
making money in investments, but no, it's not.
Well, what we've talked about doing, and just, I know Trustee Hayes and I have talked about this, at the end of this fiscal year is creating a new fund for road and bridge work.
Yep.
And moving some of that money to that fund so that we have this money there. So not every year we're kind of thinking, well, in 2 years we need this money for road work. And so we have this money that's set aside. And every year the board would, there's a term for that, Becky, there's a term that the board would, I have to think of it. Every year the board would sort of pick a certain amount of money to put in that fund. I don't know if it's allocate or earmark, I don't think it's, there's like a, isn't there a legal term? Anyways, it would be by, I don't know, it's probably by ordinance. Every year the board would pick a certain amount that they want to put in the road and bridge fund. And that's.
And so for some municipalities will draft ordinances that say, you know, from our general operating fund, we want to transfer X amount of dollars to this capital fund or whatever other fund you want to put it in, that they take out of the general operating fund when they have additional access. But I don't know what the specific.
So that, to me, that makes a lot of sense because then we have this conversation about fund balance in the general fund. That's just for general operating, type expenses. Whereas we all know we need money in there for capital work as well. So if we transfer that money out, then we can have a true minimum fund balance in that fund and not be worried about building up funds for future road work. That's why I think that makes a lot of sense. We also have other, we have a really good insurance policy. In a way, that's a fund balance because it's, we don't need to go to our own funds to cover, a hurricane taking the building down or whatever. That's why you have these general funds. You have them because you're going to spend $50,000 to repair the bathroom because we had a flood all of a sudden. That's conversations for in the next couple of months, but that's what we've been sort of talking about.
It's just only to isolate it so it could be seen and understood, and that we would think logically and deliberately about the excess as it related to capital. So that's the purpose. We'll have more to talk about it, but that's the logic behind it. Because right now, it's like having everything in one checking book, and everything comes out of there, and it's like...
And everyone thinks we have all this money, and we just have this money to spend, but we do need it to earmark it for future road work.
So to that end, this is a process that we're going to start, that we have started?
We've been in conversation, but we haven't really started anything.
And are we going to do that? I mean, are we going to do that as a board?
Yeah, this is pre-decisional. We're going to do it through next year's budget cycle, so there'll be a whole bunch of steps and discussions before we get there.
So you mean leading up to next year's budget cycle? Yeah. But is this all not anticipated in the last budget discussions?
We just didn't have time to have those discussions in there, so we put it to the side and said...
We sort of talked about it, we really didn't implement anything. Yeah.
We what?
It was mentioned that we were looking to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
But we just didn't.
We just didn't have enough time to do it, and it wasn't a priority. So.
Okay, got it. Very good, thanks.
But that's all, that's for the board to make decisions. Nothing's ironclad or decided.
Great, thank you.
Further questions for the treasurer? We're in good shape, that's delightful. Okay, if there are no questions, then Chair would like a motion to adopt Resolution 2024-R-8, a resolution for a 0% increase in the village tax levy of $823,000. May I have that motion, please? Trustee Schaller, seconded by Trustee Hayes. Thank you both, gentlemen. Clerk will please call the roll.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Hayes?
Yes?
Trustee Schaller? Yes. Trustee Shawmoser?
Yes.
Trustee Van Ryn?
Yes.
President Richardson?
Yes, thank you.
Before we leave it, just a quick question. I mean, is having a 0%, is it newsworthy? I mean, do we talk about it? I read it in the Daily Herald where other people say this village didn't raise their tax levy for...
Most taxing bodies will use their power to raise it like just under 5%.
Right. In fact, I've read a few, I feel like I've been reading them lately about the various levies, so it certainly
You'll
seems
see like 4.99.
our friends at the Daily Herald would be, Russ would be interested in this. I think he would.
This year, so that's for bodies that are subject to PTEL, the tax cap. As a home rule municipality, we're not subject to that. And this year, it's 3.4% versus 5, it's whichever is.
For the ones subject to PTEL.
Who are subject to PTEL.
Yeah, but my understanding is.
But you're correct that a lot of municipalities do the full amount, so it would be.
But if we do greater than 5%, we have to have the major open hearing, the major notice in the, which we did when we had
But
that.
the fact that we could, but we're not, I guess is what I'm really saying is, it
important.
seems newsworthy to say we're not raising the levy.
Absolutely.
I think the story of the last 5 years is newsworthy.
Well, and that's the other, it's the last
20 years.
Yeah. So anyhow, of course, we'll leave it in your good hands to talk about that.
I think it's been 4 times in 20 years.
Okay, very good, thanks.
And I think the talking point there is the longstanding policy, Therese, which is it's not our money. We don't take more, it's not our money. It starts from the notion that we don't think it's our money, it's the taxpayers' money, so we take as little as prudence requires and not a nickel more.
But that's my sensitivity to this $1 million surplus. I mean, we better be really clear about why we need it as opposed to...
Well, and we're going to talk about that tomorrow night.
Yeah. No, I know. I mean, I know you're ready to get your...
But to your point, so this was not anybody's doing other than the federal government and the state gave us $1 million extra bucks.
Yeah.
And then we were super prudent on not blowing the money unnecessarily.
Right.
So we have this extra $1 million. It's not earmarked for anything.
Right.
We have our 7-month reserve. So should we put that in a capital fund? What should we do with that? We're not going to raise the tax levy. We could have said, hey, let's not
Well,
tax
can I
anything.
interject why we could raise the tax levy? Because the tax levy is specifically allocated to garbage. And garbage goes up at least 5% every year. So if you look at our tax levy, we are actually levying for garbage collection. So,
There you go.
I mean, you could definitely say that goes up 5% every year, and you could definitely,
Right, so, but what we're doing is we're subsidizing that.
with our fund balance, absolutely. Yeah.
Good point, thank you.
But it benefits the whole village, so.
Yeah. The distinction is, I'm glad that you said it, I don't want people to think we've been overtaxing them and now we've got $1 million of their money and we're sitting back going, what are we going to do? And they might be saying, why don't you just give it back? Why are you holding it? Right? But it's important that they understand this is in effect, these are all these one-off windfalls, if you will, call them what you want. And rather than be embarrassed to say that, we're proud to say, because we're so of our diligence financially, how well we manage ourselves, now when you come over the top with these other programs, this is giving us an opportunity to do something special that otherwise we may not be able to do. And then that's what we have to go figure out what that special stuff is, and that could be a lot of things we've been talking about tonight.
Yeah. Teresa, I'll leave that in your capable hands. And if you need Mac strategies to help place it, obviously, please access them. I have forgotten, I'm getting as bad as my dad, rest his soul. Have we voted on this thing? I know Mr. Schaller and Mr. Hayes moved and seconded, but did we vote?
Yes.
God bless you, thank you.
I hijacked the very...
Yeah, it's,
I did.
I can't stand people who just talk and talk and talk.
Would you like me to cut my wires?
Agenda item 9 is the administrator's report.
Thank you, President Richardson. Just one quick FYI, we have a special village board meeting on December 11th, which is a Wednesday at 6 p.m., for the ordinance to adopt for the tax levy. So there had to be a certain amount of days that had to be in between from when we adopted this resolution to when the ordinance is passed, and with the normal village board meeting just being December 3rd, didn't meet that. I think it's like a 20-day requirement. So that's why we're meeting on Wednesday, December 11th at 6 p.m. just for that item.
I just said it sounds like a Christmas party.
Yeah.
Sounds like a great idea to me.
You know I won't be here. I think I told you.
Oh.
Or have you guys asked that question? Have you asked the wrong meeting?
I did. I took a poll, and we did. So right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, boy.
Now, we picked the date that you couldn't make.
But you can bring wine, you can leave some wine anyway.
I'm not going to be, I won't be here, so I won't be bringing my lawn. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah, I already had you marked that you weren't going to be here. Yeah, you did write me back right away.
That date, but now you're
golly.
Yeah,
Oh, my, okay.
we'll have to zoom in.
Anything else, Sharon?
That is it, thank you.
Agenda item 10, clerk's report. Ms. Harrington.
All right. I would first and foremost like to thank all of you for supporting my educational journey, because I had so much fun at my educational training in Bloomington right after the barn stomp. So it was a really busy week, but it was awesome. It was 5 days. Majority of the time I just spent in rooms with first-year clerks, so we were all on the same boat, just kind of learning together, asking questions, and a lot of this job can be on-the-job training, thanks to Sharon and other staff members for helping me along the way, but the training is so beneficial to my learning and essentially to the betterment of our community. So I'm extremely grateful to have the opportunity to go to these things. I actually have another one coming up in January, and the important thing with it's considered a seminar, and the important thing with those is I'll get points for my certified municipal clerk certificate, which would, it's kind of just a great thing to have. It's a great resource, and I can continue to keep learning after that anyways, but I have to continue going to the seminars and the trainings that they offer. So I just want to say thank you. I love learning, and it's so much fun for me, so I had a great time. I met at the meeting with the legislative committee chair, so I'm actually going to be trying to get my foot in the door in the legislative committee with the municipal clerks of Illinois. So we will see how that goes. I have not met yet. She's had some family stuff come up, so we plan to meet in the next month or so.
Marvelous. And we encourage you to continue to pursue professional education. Very, very important to us. Money well spent. Agenda item 11 is standing committees, branding and comms. Trustee Ben Ryan.
Thank you, President Richardson. Want to congratulate Wild Asparagus Catering. They were an award winner for the Great Taste Awards on October 23rd at the Wild Onion Brewery. So it sounds like a good evening was had by all attendees there, and we recognize them on our LinkedIn page. Speaking of LinkedIn, we continue to get traction there. Our unique visitors were up by 60% over the past month, so really excited about that. And also wanted to congratulate, I wasn't able to be there in person, but I'm guessing maybe John was there at the RE/MAX ribbon cutting ceremony.
So was Trustee Burke and President Richardson and Trustee, right, we had a great turnout.
Pictures will prove it out.
If someone could send us some, that would be...
Ken and I were holding the ribbon on both sides. Really big smiles. Never missing a photo op.
Excellent. Well, we'd love to post some photos on LinkedIn for that too.
We were dressed the same. I know that's shocking.
Nice. So that is it from me. Thank you.
Okay. Man, you had a whole big glass of outgoing juice tonight. This is good. The 11 Baker Econ Development, Trustee Burke.
Outgoing juice. That's me.
And Mr. Administrator Peterson was there as well.
She was. There was a good turnout, a good event, a lot of people there. Offices look great, and it's a good story because I didn't realize the story, that new owner, and you guys are now part of the RE/MAX Properties Northwest. Right, which was originally in where, Arlington? Park Ridge.
Yeah.
Same owner?
Same owner.
Yeah. So
Good miles.
Right, looks great. So much continued success to you guys there. We have a new business coming into town called Wild Rose Floral Design. That will be where Selection Air formerly was, in the shops at Park. The proprietor's name is Judy Laughlin, and we've already been in contact with Judy. Judy had some questions for us. She wants to redo her signage, and we're talking to her about how to go about that the proper way in case she was looking for any kind of support from us from a matching grant. So we're in the process of educating her on that, but she needs to do a new sign there. Nothing extraordinary, just a new sign frontage, for overhead, like we've done with other folks in the village looking for signage. So more to come on that. She has a ribbon cutting also on December 11th. So what time is our meeting again?
Our meeting is at 6.
Okay, so y'all can go to the ribbon cutting, then you can head right over here, so right down the street. So we'll certainly, she's not open yet, but she will be soon, and we'll certainly have her in to introduce herself, but we're very excited to have her business here in Lake Barrington. Another Lake Barrington business note, got an update from Sean McHugh at Lake Barrington Steakhouse. They're kind of really finalizing the hiring process, so that's kind of their last step, is getting everybody on board. And so they're, again, hoping to start soft opening in then potentially the next few weeks. So he said to stay tuned on that. He also said that all the paperwork for the sign permit should be done by this week and submitted to you all maybe next week. So Signoram is doing all that work for him, which is a local business here as well. So hopefully more to come on that. So I got reflecting on all this on my outgoing juice. And so the Wild Onion hosted something called Taste Fest, which was the best taste was run by the Wild Asparagus at Taste Fest held at the Wild Onion on Pepper Park. And now we have a new business called the Wild Rose. So from here on out, Pepper Road, its new tagline is "Take a walk on the wild side." Ooh. I just made that up. I'm not going to quit my day job.
Wild side in our oasis.
Right, we got a wild side over there on Pepper Park. We got a bunch of wild businesses over there apparently, so. And on that, I'll end my report.
Oh, my goodness.
It's almost over.
11C, External Relations. I've been to a few mayor's conferences in the last month and a half, and the question is, what is going to be the new administration and Congress's policy towards communities? There is a bias, which probably benefits communities like ours, that a per capita rather than a block grant approach. During COVID, they were given the big block grants to Lake County, and then the county decided kind of the distribution. And if you go on a per capita basis, then we get the same as other communities, including big ones or counties. So I don't know how that's going to take shape yet in the policy arena, but I was encouraged by the notion that they want to try to keep money under the control of locally accountable, locally elected officials, which I was encouraged. Water policy, and it was mentioned earlier tonight, I think there's going to be a revisiting of that because there's a balance between protecting the environment and there's been a lot of arguments over waters of the United States, and Rich probably could speak more to that than me. So I was interested in that. We have two major waterways that border our community, or one goes through it. So I'll go in January for what will be my swan song to the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and I'm really anxious because they'll really have a good insight into what, and by that point, it's close to the inauguration, there'll be a better sense of who's going to take over some of the, the Interior Department and so forth, things that, and I mean the sub-cabinet positions. So I'll keep you posted. And then I was in the UK for a wedding, but I also went to their Mayor's Association, and that's just great fun. They have the same problems we call them property taxes, they call them council taxes. They kind of merge property and sales tax over there in something called the council tax. But they get yelled at by constituents. I said, well, thank God that doesn't happen in America. So it was very informative. I have no further report at this time. 11D, Finance, HR, and Admin. Trustee Hayes.
There was plenty between 5 and 7. The only thing I want to remind everybody afterwards, we can walk and we can show you what we're talking about. It'll be brief, probably 15 minutes. And then when we meet in December, be able to decide, do we want to go a path to do a more robust renovation in light of all this or not? That's it. Thank you.
Okay.
I just want to say thanks to Trustee Hayes, because you've had a lot on your plate lately. It seems like sometimes the ebb and flow, but a lot of stuff's flowed your way, so thanks for all the good work that you do on that for us. Appreciate it.
The 11E, roads and infrastructure. Trustee Schallmoser.
Thank you, President Richardson. There's going to be a very exciting road work process next year. We're going to be moving to Gewalt, Hamilton. They're going to be our main go-to. We'll be resurfacing about 0.43 miles for $555,000, and we're going to be using the motor fuel tax funds. So that will be a very good new start with a different firm overseeing. So we're looking forward to that.
Which road?
The Wedgewood Trail subdivision.
Our neighbors up the road here.
Yes, they were on the list to be for calendar year 2025, and then last year, when I had first started working here, a few of the residents came to me about how horrible the potholes were over there, and we took a ride through, and we had Cuba Township do a little bit of patching to help with the situation, but yeah, it's a need.
The reason I kind of sat up on that is I'm thinking that when we created our new road standard, that was the first subdivision done on the new road standard. And it seems hard to believe that I remember when that was paved, right? The first time. And we were also jealous in our community. We're like, that road is beautiful, right? And I think that was the first new standard where we eliminate the crushed gravel. We put the concrete ribbons in and we put the striping down. And I think Wedgewood was the first one. So that program is now, how many years has that been?
45, you think? Yeah.
No. No, I'm just kind of curious when that was, but it has to been within the last 15, right? But that's about right for the cycle time, right? On road pavement life.
I don't want to Google that now, that would be rude, so, but I'm with you, if you find that out.
Well, and we do the reclamite now, but see, now we're throwing a wrench because we do the reclamite, so we're making roads last even longer.
That's right.
And we didn't do reclamite on that street, those streets back in those days.
You were the geek in charge of that then.
I was.
I'm not geeky. So now you're the head geek. 11F, Public Safety, Trustee Shallow.
Thank you, President Richardson. It's that time of year for scams and everything. I got to tell you, I got this email the other day. I regret to notify you about a complete unfortunate news for you. About 1 month or two ago, I managed to achieve total entry to every of your gadgets utilized for navigating the internet. From here on out, I have started observing your web behaviors on a continuous basis. I moved on with setting up a Trojan virus and software systems for all equipment.
You got that email?
I got that email. Yeah, when you talk about cybersecurity, I'm a little old me, I don't have anything on it. I get this wonderful email like that. I contacted the Sheriff's Department. I had Lieutenant Kurt file a report for me on this behalf. I sent him this. I would strongly encourage anyone that gets anything like this to report it to the Sheriff's Department, and certainly not say, oh my God, you're taking over everything. But, I don't have anything as much as the village does, let alone water or things like that. So it's amazing what we're under attack for, and I thank you very much for filing that report. I haven't heard any more from them since, but that was sent to me on November 6th.
Right, that's just one of the typical phishing scams that we see out there, and like I spoke about that last month, your best bet is, and if you want to file a report, you can, otherwise just hit the delete button. Don't even waste your time corresponding with anybody in that, and they're just trying to get you to send them money. So,
yeah.
Other than that, we don't have any major incidents in Lake Barrington over the past month. Some trends I'm seeing in the county, over the last month we had a series of car burglaries up in the Gurney area. That could happen anywhere. So the method of crime in that one was all unlocked doors, and that's typically what we see. just running down the street, pulling on door handles. So your best bet is to keep your car doors locked if your car doors are outside. And I'll also say it again, 'tis the time of year for, we usually call them porch pirates. So if you're going to have packages delivered to your house, I probably would try not to leave them out there for an extended period of time. This is where it's good to work with your neighbors, and I love talking to my neighbors. I hope everybody here talks to their neighbors. I don't think people do it enough, but sometimes you get those neighbors that are home during the day. If you're at work during the day, work with them. If they see Amazon rolling down the street, have them just scoop your packages off your porch, and so they don't have to sit out there. I know some of the houses in the area here, sometimes the front doors aren't as visible due to wooded areas and such, and it's just a lot easier for people to go unnoticed when they're taking packages off the porches. So I would encourage to work things out that way, but, we have these problems. I know we've had them out in this area from time to time over the years, but we will probably experience them again at some point, so. That's about it for my report, unless anybody has any questions.
I'm delighted that we were boring. That's a good thing. I mean, I play naturally to that, but in this case, it's especially welcome. Are there any questions for Lieutenant? If not, we continue to appreciate the great service of your department.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Just a couple other, Barrington Countryside Fire Protection District, which I indicated before is cooperating with our Thanksgiving program. Interesting, we talked about tax levy and ability to go beyond. Their 3.4% is exactly where they're going to go, rather than have to go to a public hearing and all that, and they approved moving forward with that. It's been a good year for Barrington Countryside. This is the first full year now that they have actually had, their firefighters have been actually part of the department rather than under contract, and it's worked out very, very well, and even going to their meetings, good participation. The atmosphere seems to be a lot better for all of us, because that means better service, and they have responded. They do a lot of calls in the southern part of our area, and of course with mutual aid, do a lot throughout the entire area. And likewise, the Wakanda Fire Department, they have a meeting on Thursday, and we'll be attending that. So thank you very much. That's it.
Great. 11G, Trustee Perkins is not feeling well this evening. Administrator Peterson, anything on her behalf?
Rebecca has been working very hard on securing bands for the 2025 Summer Concert Series and for the Barn Stomp and Brews.
Would you like to, I'm sorry.
I didn't know if she was asking me to talk about it or not.
We have 2 bands and then 1 tentatively. We're hoping that we can get them. And then for Barn Stomp, we also do have 1. We just had a meeting 2 weeks ago, I think, me, Sharon, and Trustee Perkins, about all of our events, and we are so excited. We have a lot of ideas, so the collaboration's great.
I have a comment or question. I like riding my bike on these paths around here. I just love it, like walking the dog. Feathering, or the Fire Farm, I love going there, but it's super dangerous to get on Kelsey Road, River Road there to get in. And so I was on the Lake County path here, just on the other side of the village, past those 2 bridges over the creek, and someone has taken a dirt trail off that road. People have walked that to go to the farm there. I think it's worthy of looking at that and building a path so it's accessible by bike, by walking, to Fire Farm, so people don't have to go out on...
A zillion years ago, when we first acquired the farm, we thought about trying to build a boardwalk over the wetlands to connect through. It was cost prohibitive. There goes that $1 million.
I think there's a boardwalk.
Yeah, so anything to connect it would be really worth considering.
This is on highland, it's not even in the wetlands, it's just natural. People just created a path, and it looks like a little bit of gravel, like what we see out here. would increase the traffic, enhance safety, because we do want to draw people to that facility, so something to look at. I just thought about it when Rebecca started talking about it, so I'll get with you to show you what I'm talking about.
My neighbors walk to the Barrington from using the path, and then I said, well, how you cut in here? And they go, oh, somebody's made a path.
Yeah, it's multiple people over time, but it's rough, and it's,
It's rough, but I mean...
It's like an army path,
It's like college campuses, how they just keep creating new sidewalks?
Right, yes.
And they're all diagonal now, because people are just cutting. All they've done is run the grass down, so people said, well, we might as well pave it, right?
Yeah, it might be like 100, 150 yards of gravel is what we're talking about. It would be significant, but certainly enhance getting in there, so.
Well, agenda item 12, there is no old business.
I have an update for Trustee Burke.
All right.
My update is Wedgewood was paved originally in 2007.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, so we were pretty damn close.
Yeah.
See, when you were talking about that being in such disrepair, I was like, what? I couldn't fathom the road was like that many years old.
Yeah.
Because to me, it was just done.
Right, yes.
Like I just moved into my house.
Yes.
Time flies.
Yes.
Thank you for the update.
You're welcome.
Okay, terrific. Agenda item 12, there's no old business, so we'll move to agenda item 13. B as in Baker, right?
Yes.
Because we just did A. Okay, I'll yield to the administrator for a comment on 13 Baker. B.
All right. This is a consideration of an ordinance granting a special use permit to T-Mobile by SMJ International LLC to permit the installation and co-location of an additional wireless cellular antenna on the existing 150-foot unmanned self-supporting steel lattice tower at 28 West 059 Commercial Avenue. This also was at the October 24th Plan Commission Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. They're going to add an additional antenna on there. Nothing else is being created, it's just an addition to it. There were no issues or concerns at the meeting. There was one audience participation, just had some questions, but they were pleased with the outcome.
Doesn't change the height. They were concerned
Correct.
asking if they would
Yes.
change
Thank
the
you.
height of the actual
Yes.
tower. No.
Is that it?
Yes, for that item, so yeah, I would need a motion.
Okay, then no, these...
A and C.
Yeah.
Each of these are for individual.
Oh, we gotta do them individually.
Yeah. So Chair would like a motion to approve ordinance number 2024-0-19, an ordinance granting a special use to T-Mobile by SMJ International LLC to permit the installation and co-location of an additional wireless cellular antenna array on the existing 150-foot unmanned self-supporting steel lattice tower at 28 West 059 Commercial Avenue, Lake Barrington, Illinois. May I have that motion, please? By Trustee Burke, may I please have a second? By Trustee Hayes. Thank you both, gentlemen. Appreciate the enthusiasm. The clerk will plow the roll, please. Man, we're punch drunk.
We are.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Hayes?
Yes, pushing the right button, yes.
Trustee Schaller?
Yes.
Trustee Schalmoser?
Yes.
Trustee Van Ryn?
Yes.
President Richardson?
Yes, ma'am. 13D. Administrator Peterson.
Yes, this is an after-the-fact special use ordinance for 27996 West Industrial Avenue, Units 8 and 9 for Sin City Auto Repair and Customs. There was a Plan Commission Zoning Board of Appeals meeting on, it was November 14th, I believe, to approve an after-the-fact special use permit. This was for a garage also. We've been discovering lots of garages being opened and issuing citations to these businesses for not having business licenses and special use permits. So he did come before the Plan Commission, and they recommended approval of the after-the-fact special use permit.
I got it this time. Like with Hunter Garage, would be expiring as of, I believe, December 31st, if a new lease isn't provided. So this is getting them into compliance for now, given the pending violations.
Yes.
Questions?
I do have questions.
Okay.
So since we've had 3 of these on the thing, there's a couple things that leads me to want to bring up. One is, first of all, how are we discovering these?
Some are being discovered by getting a complaint from somebody who had a service issue with a vehicle. Others are getting discovered by a business not having a dumpster, and then we go to write a letter to the business owner to say they don't have a dumpster, and we discover it's not the same business, it's a new business that moved in. We need to get a better handle on the landlords. The landlords are just renting out places and not having their tenants get leases. We have an ordinance that requires the landlords to submit a sworn tenant list. We need to compare that against who we have business licenses with, and we need to work on that. We've had recent changeovers in the clerk's office. Rebecca's been on top of things since she's been here. It's one of our goals to get even better with all of that.
Yeah, it was a leading question because I know how much work you guys have put into it, and I wanted to say thank you for the work that you put into it. Many of you don't know that we were not that diligent about chasing down business licenses in the past for whatever reason. And there's a process that begins, in the spring, and there's letters and emails and phone calls, but Sharon and Rebecca really did a robust program and said, we're running this thing to ground. Like, we are chasing down to the point where they were like Starsky and Hutch, jumping in their cars and going to, and ringing doorbells and literally, who are you, what do you do, and why don't you have a business license? So, which we made them swear as a father of girls, I made them swear they would never, ever venture out alone. And if they ever felt they needed police protection, I wasn't kidding. I said, you get the sheriff and they'll go with you. If you're really not sure what's going on in the building, you really don't want to be Starsky and Hutch in that situation. But they've really run this to ground. So I love that what you're saying is another part of this is really getting a handle on the landlords and the leases, right? Because that's a little bit tricky for us as well, right? In terms of understanding what's going on inside these buildings. So I appreciate that, realize how much work it is, but you've already made a ton of progress too, so thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll build on that. What I really like is you've used a light touch, and everyone should have a benefit of the doubt once.
Right.
And hopefully they will then get the message, it was an honest mistake, and they will comply going forward. This is very much a Sheriff Andy Taylor approach, and I'm very grateful for that. Okay, I need a motion to approve ordinance number 2024-0-21, an ordinance granting an after-the-fact special use permit to permit the continued operation of a business for servicing of vehicles at 27966 West Industrial Avenue, Units 8 and 9, Lake Barrington, Illinois. May I have that motion, please? By Trustee Scheller. Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Van Ryn, thank you both. Clerk will please call the roll.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Hayes?
Yes.
Trustee Scheller?
Yes.
Trustee Schallmoser?
Yes.
Trustee Van Ryn?
Yes.
President Richardson?
Yes. Agenda item 14, there are no resolutions. 15, no new business. 16, second opportunity in the agenda for the public to address the village board. No one is seeking recognition. There is no need under 17 for a closed session. There's no other business. Chair would like a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Hayes, who's the second? Second. Van Ryn, thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? We are adjourned.